Hello, it's Kirsten Liebelt. How are you tonight? How are you? It's always so good to jump on. And tonight I actually have two different testimonies that I wanted to bring up because they just kind of keep coming at into my universe. And so I thought I'm totally going to share. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Kirsten Liebelt, and I turned back around my own insulin resistance that started in my 20s, but I didn't wait until I was in my 40s to do it. So that's kind of the piece that maybe I should have paid attention earlier, but I didn't, but that's okay because now we're good. But anyway, so my dad had died of type 2 diabetes when he was 63, and he did it all. He did it all. His health and his quality of life was not exactly stellar, because you know what, he had a lot of heart procedures, and he ended up on dialysis at the end, etc. And so there's a lot more to that story, obviously, as you can imagine. But the passion inside of me to talk about insulin resistance is it all stems from that, right? Because I remember being a little girl and knowing where the hypodermic needles were. I remember being a little girl knowing that the insulin vials in the refrigerator were not to be touched. And so why that didn't all kind of connect with me as I was growing up, I don't know. That's okay. That's the way that is. But I shouldn't say growing. Well, yeah, 'cause I think I just thought it was genetic. I mean, that's how we all hear everything is just genetic. It's just genetic. Well, so I'm gestational with my first baby in my 20s, and then later on in life, in my 40s, I'm like gaining weight and having all these whatever, and I don't know anything. Like I don't know anything. I don't supplement. I don't. I'm not making wise food choices. Nothing. I definitely did not know that insulin was a hormone. Like I had no connection in my brain, no self-awareness. And so when I got into my 50s and my cycle stopped and all that good stuff, and then you have to like switch things because now you're gaining fat in areas that you weren't excited about. That's when I started to really dive in and begin to research because I wanted to find out why certain things were happening, etc. Fast forward, I'm 58 and I'm not on any meds. I'm actually the only one in my family that has avoided type 2. And I actually took the route of supplementation, and it changed the trajectory of my universe. It changed the way that things happened for me. And I thought I was a total anomaly. And now I have some basic understandings because again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a naturopath. I consider myself like an Italian chick that figured out a few things. So I had these two testimonies that came to me this week, and I thought, it is just not even very nice of me not to share if I have this information. So I'm gonna share this with you. So basically what I ended up doing in my 40s was when I started to target supplement, I was supplementing for my sugars because my mom would not stop talking to me about my sugars. Now, God bless her. She actually died this year at 94, the beautiful age of 94. And she would not, years ago after my dad had died, it was on her radar, right? Like it's heightened in her mind. Like she doesn't want us to be type 2 as children because the conversation was always that it was genetic, etc. And I'm not saying that there's not a genetic predisposition. I'm just saying more of it is genetic the way we eat, genetic the way that we feast. So as Italians, we ate a lot for celebration, and we ate a lot for like funerals and stuff. I mean, like this was just our life. Anyway, so she's always on me, like, do you check your sugars? Do you know where your sugars are at? Do you even go to the doctor? Like, are you peeing all the time? Are you thirsty all the time? Like, I got it all from my mom. So I finally started like supplementing, and I'm like, Mom, look at, I'm doing this. And she's like, yeah, okay, sounds great. Anyway, but then when things started to turn around for me and I could understand how that was helping me, I started to like wonder, like, why? Like, how does this work? Like, I did not enjoy chemistry. I did not really, gosh, biology, chemistry, like those weren't my favorite subjects. Trying to think, like in my head right now, I'm thinking to myself, could I even remember what grade that I get in chemistry in high school? I don't know, it might have been a C, I'm not sure. That might not be indicative of anything anyway, right? Because, I bake, that's chemistry. Okay, so anyway, so eventually I start talking to people about the supplements that I've been taking. Okay, so I start having like local successes and etc. with some of my clients, and that was really exciting. And I'm going to pull up these testimonies here so I can read them too. And this particular person had said, oh wow, like he would call them his diabetes pills and stuff like that. Think claims that I can't make and I would never do anyway. But anyway, super interesting. And I'm like, oh wow, and I started studying more, right? Like, tell me more. And because I wanted to be able to actually help people with this. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm just downright frustrated sometimes with the fact that, this is, how do I say this? It's very reversible in my layman understanding, right? I always have to be very careful, but it's true. It's very reversible. You can actually do something about insulin resistance, and if you're further along in your journey than a lot of people maybe that I work with, you can always look up Dr. Ken Berry. You can look up Dr. Eric Berg. I love to pull recipes from Maria Emmerich. She's very creative with her ingredient trade outs. She taught this Italian girl how to be able to switch out ingredients and still be a foodie. I don't have to worry that I can't be a foodie anymore. Those types of people are the people that I like to follow. There's even a Dr. Kiltz, Kilz. He's a fertility doctor out of New York, and he uses, I'm not carnivore, but he uses the carnivore diet to help women who have infertility issues. And he's very interesting to listen to because he studied so many different aspects of this to understand why this is affecting hormones. Okay, anyway, back to the whole insulin resistance piece and how I got these two testimonies here. One of them came to me on Thursday, I think it was. No, hold on. No, one was Friday and one was today. These are two separate people in my world, and it's because of the supplementation that they're taking. I call it the trio. 3 different supplements that have 3 different ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. They also help with many other layered facets that I talk about and I teach about a lot in my Facebook group, or sometimes I'll teach it on my stories to try to just give some of that basic education. And so if you need to know more about it, you can always just put trio in the comments. Instagram, if you put trio, I don't know if I can see it after I talk to you. So you would have to DM me. DM me trio, or once the video is posted, you can come back and put trio in the comments. But you can put trio in the comments and I'll tell you more. But these are the testimonies, you guys. It's such a big conversation because as we barrel into the first of the year, what is everybody talking about? Everybody's talking about how they want to lose weight. Or maybe you're not talking about it. Maybe you're just thinking it because we're just trying to get through the holidays without gaining weight or, etc. And so the beginning of the year becomes this strange, like, moment in time where we all set these goals and we all decide, we're going to better ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. But weight loss is always at the top of that trajectory, at the top of that peak. Everybody wants to lose weight, get healthy, whatever that means, right? And insulin resistance is a really, really, really big deal. And it's become now an opportunity. People are understanding it a little bit better and they're talking about it a little bit more. And now women in my world are starting to make the connection between being insulin resistant, dealing with insulin to come down and dealing with blood sugars to come down so that they can finally lose weight. Because when your insulin and your sugar is high, you can't lose weight. And when you're insulin resistant and your cell is blocking the insulin from getting the glucose into it for energy, food just turns into glucose. Your body turns it into glucose. Your liver does. Anyway, so that you can get it into your cell and have energy. When your cell says no more because you're resistant, that means that the key isn't working in the lock anymore. And it's like you have the wrong key. And so now all of that extra insulin and sugar in your blood, insulin is a fat storing hormone. So guess what it does really, really well? If it has too much, it starts to store your glucose as fat. And so it's a problem going up the numbers on your scale. And it's a problem when you're trying to go down and you can't, you're like blocked. You can't go down. You're like, Why can't I lose weight? And I am personally convinced that women are just sliding into their 40s. They're insulin resistant. Nobody has even talked about this with them, like, because I wouldn't have known nothing. Like, I was the poster child of addicted to sugar and not taking any supplements. I mean, like, I didn't know any of this. And um, they're having such a hard time. They're either gaining weight or they're having a hard time losing weight, and they're just really frustrated and they don't know what to do. So here are the two testimonies. And again, you can always just let me know if you would like to know more. But this is the one that came to me on Friday. This is such a great testimony. So she said, I've been on the trio for about 2.5 weeks. And again, that's 3 different supplements. The trio for about 2.5 weeks. The last few days, I've been dropping about a pound a day. I am in shock. Obviously, I'm eating good too, and I'm getting my protein in, but I was stuck because of my glucose level. So this is making a difference. And I actually ended up getting on a Zoom with her and talking to her about it because I wanted to understand more about why this was such a big deal for her. And she said, you don't understand. Like, this has been a long time effort for me, and it wasn't moving. The scale wasn't moving. I people, what that's like, maybe, where you feel like you're at your wit's end, like, what could possibly move that needle? And what if the answer is that you're insulin resistant and that your insulin is high and it's a fat storing hormone, and so you're a hamster on your wheel and you're just like this, and you're chasing. And obviously then the broader conversation ends up to be about a lot of the prescription injections to help people lose weight. And that's a whole nother conversation that I won't get into. That was another Zoom that I did today with somebody super interesting about that whole the script that's OZ. And anyway, but then the second testimony came to me today from somebody else, and she said this, and this one is really hold on, let me find it. This one is really amazing for me anyway, because she has this. Actually, I got on the phone with her on Saturday last night, and she explained to me her story, and then we talked further today. And she's type 2, and obviously that's the one end of insulin resistance. You can be insulin resistant and you're not type 2 yet. You just have some belly fat going on, you're frustrated, you can't lose weight, etc. That was me, okay? And I had actually started my insulin resistance in my 20s when I was gestational. So I went for a very, very long time and I did nothing about it. That's just whatever, because you can be insulin resistant for a really long time before your blood sugar levels actually start to rise and show that change. And she is actually type 2, and she had been insulin dependent. And she just decided, I think she decided 3 years ago, she wanted to change her life. She wanted to change the way this was going because she wasn't appreciating her life of medication. That was her story, her choice. So she starts to work with some doctors and stuff, and she's liking some doctors and not liking some other doctors. And she starts to go through this process of getting off of being insulin dependent injections. And but then she just can't seem to get her sugars down. Her morning sugars are still too high, and she can't lose any weight. And she said, I did do one thing at one point. She said, I started to change my level of protein, which I talk about all the time in the group or wherever I could. Protein. If you can focus on protein at every single meal, you are going to get so much more out of what you eat. So for instance, if you are eating eggs and, let's just say steak and eggs for breakfast, you're going to get so much further out of that because it's not going to it's not going to spike your sugars. But also protein, it maintains your lean muscle mass, and it helps to stabilize your blood sugars, and it helps to keep you full longer. Like, protein is amazing, and you should be targeting like a minimum of 100 grams of protein a day, which a lot of people don't. They under protein. So when they hear that and they up their protein like she did, she's like, oh, I'm going to up my protein. So she did, and she lost a couple of pounds, but she could not break. So then she starts 2.5 months ago, she starts taking the trio. the 3 supplements with the 3 ingredients that help with insulin resistance. And she starts taking them faithfully. And 2.5 months later, here she is, and this is what her results are. After 2.5 months on the trio, her morning blood sugars have gone from 185 to from 185 to the 150s, and she has lost 14 pounds. 14 pounds. She's like, boom, because she's been trying, and she has tried berberine, and she might even still be on it. But she started with berberine. She did some inositol. I've never worked with inositol. I've actually never taken berberine. That just wasn't in my wheelhouse. But and so then she added this, and it just went boom. Can you imagine like how good that must feel for her to not only feel like, oh, the scale moved a couple of pounds or it moved just a little bit. That just has to, she was so frustrated for so long, you know? And so it just makes my heart so happy to hear that. And I thought, it's really not very nice. I have to see if there we go. Anna, hello, Anna. I didn't even see your comment there. It just makes my heart so happy because people struggle for, I just have so many conversations with people on a regular basis. And I swear they're like all in my head. And, you know, it's very frustrating sometimes. You know, I recently spoke to a nurse who said, she posted a question in a group and she asked, when you are helping people with type 2, do you talk to them about insulin resistance and what to do with that? Because type 2 is insulin resistance. Do you address, you know, the resistance? Do you explain it? Do you explain insulin resistance? And she said, the answers are no. And, you know, I just feel like there's this sea of people out here. If Dr. Berger's right, if he's right, 70% are insulin resistant. That's unbelievable. Like the last number that I had heard was 42% of Americans have fatty liver. 50 years ago, only people with alcohol who were alcoholics had fatty liver. It was extremely rare to have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And now it's getting super common. And most of the time it's found when other procedures are being done. This is what I was just reading. When other procedures are being done, they happen to recognize it and they don't make a big deal about it. Like what? Like what? Why? I don't get it, right? And now we have fatty liver in our kids, you guys. Like 25%. Like it's a really big deal. And so I just feel like, you know what, the more we can talk about this stuff and you know, anything that I can read or listen to and help people with, like, it gets very exciting to begin to hear the results that people get. And that not only, because you know what, we have to deal with the health situation, right? You don't want what happens with insulin resistance. I didn't. I grew up with it. I wasn't very impressed with where that disease can go. That wasn't very happy for me. My kids were 6, 3, and 6 months when my dad died, and they lost their Italian dad, grandpa. I wasn't very excited about that, right? And I knew that I wanted to be the grandma who could get down on the floor with my grandbabies. I wanted to be the grandma who wasn't sick all the time. Like my dad was sick all the time, so that's what was in my head. And I'm like, I don't want to be the grandma that's sick all the time. I don't want to be having medical procedures all the time or every single time we went on vacation. Every single time we went on vacation, there was a medical disruption. And we didn't even go on vacation very much. I say that as if we did. We didn't. That's kind of funny. I mean, the point being, you know, my dad he owned businesses, so we really didn't go on vacation. But the few times that we ever did anything, that's just the way that it was. Because when you are when you're sick, right? But just what if, you know? And this one girl who sent me this message, she said, I had said in one of my lives in my Facebook group, I said, think about where, and I'll end with this, think about where you want to be in a year. I know we all want fast results. I get it. We all want to get into we want to lose weight for the dress for Saturday night or for the event that's coming up, or we want to look really good for the family reunion or the school reunion or whatever. I get that. I really do. But that's really not realistic when we're maybe in a different phase of our life. And if that phase has to do with insulin resistance, then sometimes it's just we're on a healing journey instead of we're back in high school and we're going to get, thin for the weekend. It's just not the same anymore, right? So instead, I always tell people, what if you took 3-4 months of consistency? And that's actually what she did. She's like, I'm going to be consistent and see how this turns out. Take 3 or 4 months and just be consistent. Find a routine for yourself to have that kind of consistency, but to be defiant to your habits of inconsistency and see where you can be in 90 days. But then more than that, if you need to heal, when she's talking about the fact that her blood sugars in the morning have come down from 185 down to the 150s, Dr. Berg talks about how that dawn phenomenon, that morning blood sugar issue, it can take like a year to heal. If you have high blood pressure because of your insulin resistance, it can take like a year to heal as you're turning around your ship. And some people's ships are really big. And some people's ships are just tiny. But everybody's different. And no matter how you look at it, it's a healing journey for your body. So she gave me this amazing testimony. She said, I can't wait to see where I'll be in a year. And I thought, that's the best attitude I've ever seen, right? Because where will you be next Christmas? You can be in a completely different place, like completely different place. So anyway, so you know what? Maybe your goal is to bring down morning sugars. And I can never make any claims or any guarantees or anything like that, but I can just tell you her story and then the other person's story about how she's been losing a pound a day because she's finally bringing her insulin down, down, down. Fat storing hormone, down. Bringing some health to the blood glucose. Health. We want health there. We want some stability there, right? Bring things down so that your body can finally release weight. Wow. It's such a great connection. I love it when women are now making this connection and it's like, this is an interesting way to be able to finally lose weight. And even more specifically than when I talk about eating a certain way, I'm keto and I teach keto. When you begin to eat grain-free, sugar-free, then you actually put your body into a fat burning mode. And that's another piece of the puzzle that gets really exciting. Anyway, okay, there you go. Be super, super blessed. And again, have I read The Glucose Goddess? I have not. Oh, Julie, I want to look that up. Obviously that's a book. Let's see if you had said anything else on that. Nope. Okay, Glucose Goddess. I'm actually going to write that down because I bet you anything I'd be very interested in that. Thank you for bringing that up. I sure appreciate that. And Anna says, she's down 5 pounds. Anna, you're down 5 pounds? Yeah. Man, you guys, these testimonies, they're rolling in. We're just going to have to talk about them as much as we possibly can before the beginning of the year, because what if you could start out your year with a different strategy than maybe you did last year or the year before? I'm just saying, like, that's really, really exciting. So the Glucose Goddess, I'm going to write that down. I love that. I love it when people give me references. Very, very good. Oh, that's so good. Okay, well, then you're my third testimony. That's really cool. Third testimony in literally 3 days. 3 days. There you go. They're rolling in, people. All right. You guys have a super blessed night. And if you need anything at all, you can always DM me. My DMs are always open. And you can put Trio in the comments if you're on Facebook, and I can get back to you if you're interested in finding out how these people are getting the results that they're getting. This is something I started 13 years ago. So this isn't something I started last week. And I would be just more than happy to help you out with that. And Anna says, 15 more pounds to go. Yes. Oh, you can do it, Anna. You know you can. You can totally do it. And FYI, I do have a Facebook group that you can always reach out to me and I will let you know how to get in there too. Facebook, I can send you guys links. So it's free and it's for women. And I do a challenge in there every month. And then we make a recipe. So, all right, we'll get everybody fixed up, right? All right, have a super blessed night, you guys. See if I can get my mouse to work. I need a mouse pad. Isn't that funny? All right, here we go. See you later.